Hey Thomas, how you doing?
Hey, Mike, I'm doing pretty good. What's your plans for Saturday?
It's funny you mention that because I heard that there's a little thing out there. If I can get queued up here, I think I'm gonna get a comic book. How about you?
Hey, yeah, Free Comic Book Day 2023. It's coming at us May 6th. It's always the first Saturday in May, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But first, you've stumbled upon our the first last of Nerdom's grab bag, and we're going to be talking about Free Comic Book Day,
Yep,
which is our main topic for the day, but we're also going to get into a little bit of news in the Nerdom universe. We'll talk about some of our reviews of things. We're going to recommend maybe a couple of different websites. But yeah,
absolutely.
we're the first last Nerdom. We've got a huge back catalog of various things. We talk about movies, comic books, just about anything in the nerd sphere. We've got a big back catalog, as Mike likes to say, of various videos. We talk. It's very eclectic as far as what we talk about, so there's probably going to be something that you'll like. Just kind of scroll through. We have a big main podcast where we focus on one thing and talk about it. Usually, most often it's a movie, but we also do a midweek show called the Grab Bag where we talk a little bit about a lot of different things. And but yeah, so how's things, Mike?
Good, good. Yeah, I just wanted to, reiterate that too. That if you care to give us a comment, love to hear it. I think this grab bag
Mm-hmm.
is going to be a little recommendation heavy, which is good, good and fine.
Mm-hmm.
Not much going on in the news. Some significant things,
Mm-hmm.
but more importantly, wanted to
Some
really open.
outrageous things. There's one outrageous thing I was going to talk about,
Oh
which
yeah,
has to
absolutely.
do with Wizard of the Coast. Just a little hint
Oh
for
no.
what's
Oh,
coming up.
th- are they getting spanked again? Because a few weeks ago they were kind of sort of in the doghouse. But anyway, I just wanted to say we
uh,
are at a C for our social blade score. Maybe we'll bring that up to a B. Maybe
yeah.
not. Maybe we'll stay at. I'm happy with the C. But anyway, with that being said, we might as well jump into Free Comic Book Day right off the top.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then, if you're not familiar with this, with Free Comic Book Day, it started a few years back. But yeah, basically, what it is previously, what it is now. Now it's there's a you can't just go into the comic book shop and grab something off the shelf and take it for free. There's a
No.
small selection of various titles that are marked as free comic book, which we'll kind of go over a few of them here, the ones that kind of are tempting us to grab up. I know there's various rules for from comic book shop to the comic book shop. I know some comic book shops do not celebrate Free Comic Book Day. The one in particular I'm thinking of is the Comic Book Palace. They have a channel here on YouTube called the Comic Book Palace. I enjoy watching that show. But he kind of realized that the people that would come to Free Comic Book Day were just coming for the free comic books and aren't really returning customers. And he just didn't want to get involved with the whole thing. So what he does is when he gets in the free comic books that are marked for Free Comic Book Day, he gives them to his local library to give
Oh,
out,
okay. Very
which
cool.
makes sense. So they still get handed out to people, and that kind of he kind of says that kind of bypasses those people that were just coming to a shop to grab up the free comic books and then sell them on eBay at a price.
That's funny. That's funny.
Because yeah, they are limited quality quantities. So I know my local comic book shop. What they do is, um, I think you could get two or three free if you're adult, and I think you get four or five if you're a kid. And anything additional if you wanted to get more than your allotted amount of free comic books from the free comic book section, you can pay a dollar for any additional ones. So pretty reasonable. They also provide usually it's like a 25% off of pretty much everything in the store except for current comic books that are on the shelves. But yeah, that's what my local comic book shop does. Do you know what yours usually do?
Yeah, no, the one I usually go to, I don't believe I know if there's a limit for kiddos or adults, but that would
Hmm.
probably make sense. They also do a lot of gaming nights and host that quite a bit. At Newcastle Comics, just up the road. But yeah, and that is the thing. Usually it's limited if we do make it in time. You want to go earlier in the day than later, because
Hmm.
there's always fans out there that might hit it up and deplete the supplies. I know if you're not on the ball, and you want like a first edition or whatever for whatever series you're really into, if you
Hmm.
don't roll up there right away or have your name on it, then you're not going to find it. You're going to find the reprints forever
Hmm.
and always. But that's okay. I'm that kind of a I'm not that much of a snob,
Hmm.
and not to say that you have to be, or you are a snob if you want a first edition or whatever, first print. That there's some value in that. Although American comics have been criticized over the past, but I was just kind of looking this, and what drew your eye? I did see a couple. I'd probably the next time I go back, I'll probably want to pull something that we've talked about or cross paths over, like with like particularly this Conan and the Red Sonja.
Yeah,
That
the
was drawing my eye, honestly. And
hmm.
the other was like the other Marvel and the DC ones are fine too.
Hmm.
But that though, like I'm kind of like in a more of an alternative kind of take for comics and storylines. I will read. How about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, the Conan one is interested. I'm interested in that kind of in particular because Marvel did have the property of Conan for a couple of years.
Right.
They've discontinued, but Titan comic books, which is I think a new comic book brand, but they've picked up Conan and are going to kind of pick up where they left off. Jim Zub, who was one of the writers for Conan for Marvel, is going to be doing this comic book, and it sounds like they're letting him go kind of crazy with the with the franchise in that. They don't mind him getting into the blood and guts of things. So yeah, this is our first chance to get a look at Titan's version of Conan. So yeah, I'm definitely
Interesting.
interested in picking that up. There's the Avenger title, and then the Spider-Man Venom title that looks pretty interesting. And yeah, I might be interested in picking up the Red Sonja one as well. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's. Mhm.
I did also wanted to kind of shout out too. They definitely have they have some for all ages. And this dog man, although my kids are a little bit older now,
Mhm.
this was very popular when they were younger.
Oh
We
yeah.
even went to a Dave Pikey event. So that's really cool. Like all ages. It
Mhm.
really is a family affair. That
Yeah.
you can really bond with your or even
Mhm.
friends. Go there and see
Yeah.
what you like, and maybe if you haven't been in a minute, it's always fun to go and see it. Although I
Mhm.
don't make regular trips as I'd like to, it's still nice to know that I still can go to a comic book shop
Mhm.
and really honestly, it's kind of like just as much coffee shop like where you have a conversation. I don't know about you, but every time I go there, I have certain questions or just kind of
Mhm.
have a little bit of a back and forth with the clerks there that are
Mhm.
very knowledgeable. And I've always been very lucky that I don't get like somebody who like kind of just like chews their gum and is like, man, I don't know, but just pick out a comic book,
Yep.
like not like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I always kind of catch up with the guys that are working. Yeah, I don't know why it's split up. There's like a gold comic book section, and then if you scroll down, there's a silver. So
oh,
there's
good
some
grief.
more.
Well, that was my
But
fault. I
yeah,
wasn't paying attention.
yeah, yeah. The other one that I was kind of interested in, the I Am Stan one, which looks like a little comic book on Stan Lee.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think there's a yeah, there's some interesting ones there. That I think
Interesting.
these are more of the independent, but it looks like there's some DC in there too. But yeah, it's always fun to talk to the guys working at the comic book shop. I kind of caught up with them last week. There's one of the guys are into weird movies like I am, so whenever we were covering the Italian horror movies, I talked to him about and kind of recommended some movies to him. But yeah, he's also a huge Star Wars fan. So famously last week on the grab bag, I kind of went off on the Mandalorian and
Yep.
my disappointment for it this season. To get a different take, I did talk to the guys. And both of the guys working at the comic book shop absolutely loved this past season of The Mandalorian, and in fact, one of them said he was kind of teared up at various points of the final episode. So there's always a different perspective on it,
Sure.
and
It's so
obviously
popular. Yeah.
mine's my opinion's not gospel. So I was kind of surprised that they liked it so much, but hey, to each their
I
own. And I didn't go like, well, you didn't like, I didn't like
no.
it, blah blah blah. I let them have their. Since that it meant so much to them. Obviously, I wasn't gonna
Wait.
argue with them, but
Wait, wait, hold on a second, Thomas. Are you telling me that the ultimate tolerance is being able to disagree with somebody and hold their different view in your hands for a moment or two, and not
yeah,
blast them into orbit because they're part of the
right,
wrong tribe or whatever? I'm
yeah,
just joking, but that's how it is.
no,
It's
yeah,
kind of how it is. Like if you say you like apples, somebody goes, "Well, what does that mean? You hate oranges?" Like that's one I like
mm-hmm,
to use, but it's very true. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah, no, that and famously too. Along that line, and we haven't really talked about it much, but we might as well just kind of dip into it a little bit while we're talking on the subject, which is Star Trek Picard season 3. I've heard is very well regarded and
mm-hmm,
very beloved by the oldest of old Trekkies. I
yep,
wish I could be in that boat, but same thing is kind of like maybe one day, but
yeah,
not anytime soon. But
yeah,
and that's neither here nor there. But like I just don't have that much time to. I've just been burnt too many times on like XYZ is good, and then you go watch it, and you're like, "What the am I?
yeah.
What am I doing?" And then I move on. And it's not love or hate; it's just difference of
Of
opinion. So
opinion. Yeah, I watched
yeah,
Red Letter Media's. They did a few episodes on it, and kind of watched that. They
did
really
they
loved
like
it.
it?
Yeah, yeah, they
Okay,
really
yeah,
really enjoyed it. Yeah,
yeah,
they kept expecting for the last few episodes to completely ruin it, but from what they said, they really came through on it, and
that's
I
funny.
think one of them had a a decorative plate of the various enterprises on a
Right.
plate, and he said that if by the end of the season it was horrible, he was going to take that plate and smash it, or uh, he was going to fix a meal and have Rich eat something off the plate,
Oh,
which it says don't eat because it has lead on it. So, but true to his word, Rich did eat some pizza off of the plate. He goes, "I'm
well,
getting cancer for you,"
right. That's funny. That's
as he
funny.
ate the pizza. But yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, they enjoyed it.
yeah, that's good. Good to know. Yeah, and one of the guys I like to follow, Neurotic, he's been covering it, and with his group of folks, and they can be entertaining, but I haven't dipped into those shows per se. But I'd probably want to see what Red Letter Media said, and then maybe if I have a few extra minutes, maybe try to crack into the first episode, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
But anyway, what more importantly is this comic book day that's coming up, and here, and this link will be up at the top in the show notes. So if you're
Yeah.
curious,
Yeah, I
that
know it's
maybe
kind of hard
you're
to see the comic books on the screen there, but yeah, we'll have a link of
yeah,
the various ones.
yeah,
Oh
I'll just
yeah, you
scroll
can.
through here. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a
there
little
you
bit
go.
better, but they're still
Yeah,
tiny postage
yeah,
stamp here.
yeah. Like you said, I think that Dogman's like super big.
Oh God,
And
it's
mhm.
huge. It's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. I see some smaller like minor ones that I've heard. Not my kiddos, but friends of friends. Like they it
hmm
kind of comes up. I see a couple here like toward the bottom that are interesting, but
you're big on the Smurfs, right?
yeah, no, not really. I loved to watch them when I was a kid, but I don't know that I would
hmm
ever. I don't know. But more power to folks that are like maybe that just gives a tug at the heartstrings and gives you a little nostalgia going. But
Yeah.
in any case, I was going to say, might as well go. You might as well go into some not so good news for comic books of
Uh-huh.
late. Unless you had anything more to say about Free Comic Book Day.
No, just go
Okay,
to
cool.
just support your local comic book shop by heading out on Saturday. I always I've hit it the past few years, and I always see it's always definitely crowded that day, and it looks like a day that they bring out their kids to the comic book shop, and yeah, even if that's the only day that they go to a comic book shop, at least they're getting that experience.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. And going into some sad news here. Looks like IDW is not good waters.
Yeah, but they've kind of done it to themselves by making some bad choices as far as maybe writers and subjects as far as what they're covering. I think it's kind of the times where any you could pretty much publish anything and you're going to be okay are over. The glory days of comic books. You can't just throw out 100 different variants of a cover to something and sell huge numbers. You really have to dial in to what the fans want, and I think IDW has had a hard time kind of dialing in. They do have success with their Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book line. I think that's probably that, and I don't know. I can't remember if
did
they have Power
now
Rangers or not, but
did was it them or Image that made it play for licensing and doing things, or is that's not IDW? Is that
um,
more
yeah.
Image comics?
IDW's done it.
Okay.
Dark Horse
Okay.
had like Alien, Star Wars, and those before Marvel acquired them through Fox. So, but yeah, they all kind of played around with different licenses. But as far as kind of building, the IDW really kind of built themselves off of yeah, and they the people that started IDW were people that came from like Wildstorm through Image, trying to create their own thing after Wildstorm was bought um, through DC. So yeah, and they had the independent comic book roots to them, and that's kind of what they built off of. But they've kind of lost their way, so to speak.
Hmm.
So maybe the layoffs are good for them. Maybe they can kind of slim things down and focus on what's important. Maybe put out
Right.
some, concentrate on the titles that are doing well. But yeah, it just kind of shows you the kind of state that comic books are in, and you're really going to have to engage the audience as opposed to combating them.
Yep, I won't dip into that rant, that soapbox. But yeah, don't
Mm-hmm.
fight. Don't pick a fight with your fans. And whenever this, and I know this is also kind of every week or every month, I should say, like since the year started, I've heard, or I'm sure you have too, headlines of XYZ big company doing these layoffs, and it always sucks if it's you.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that these guys can get back on their feet
Mm-hmm.
and find a place that's home where they can really prosper. That's probably the best wish that I could I could
Yep.
extend to somebody in that position because I don't know about you, but I've been laid off and it sucks.
Yep. Yep.
Especially when you're like you've been very used to doing something for a certain width, for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
But in any
Yeah.
case,
There's a little bit of a rug pull when that happens from you.
yeah,
Like,
yep,
whoa, things are a little shaky here.
yeah, and
But yeah.
I was gonna say we can probably move on to even worse news. We might as well get the bad news out of the way here.
Uh-huh.
Looks like Jerry Springer passed away
Mm-hmm.
very
Yep.
recently.
Yep.
I did not expect this at all, and I actually
No, yeah.
I was reading I'm friends with somebody on Facebook, and they mentioned a story about them
Mm-hmm.
when Jerry Springer was a little bit more popular and younger. But that kind of sucks. Of course, he's famous for kind of ushering in
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of the stuff was like so outlandish. It was just like, are these people real? And there's all kinds of
Yeah.
things that sprung
Yeah.
from him.
Yeah, I wasn't a regular watcher of his show, but yeah, anytime that I would turn it on, it would be a guilty pleasure, and there was
Yeah.
always a smile on my face when I watched it. I can't help but think, he came up to heaven, and as he was ushered into heaven, people were saying, "Jerry, Jerry, Jerry.
Right. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he was a legend in his own right. He made so many famous ridiculousness, kind of shock. We went from the shock TV
Mhm.
to really shock TV. Some of those really stuck out. But
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
I remember he would opine occasionally on current events. You would hear from him
Mhm.
once in a while, but like that kind of sucks. But
Mhm.
you know,
Yep. Yeah.
maybe go back and watch get lost in YouTube down a
Mhm.
rabbit hole. I bet that's always possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
he
fun.
always ended it with a kind of a final thought. And I another uh, podcast guy that I watch gave kind of his eulogy to him with a final thought. But I don't have one. But yeah, yeah, he'll definitely be missed. He definitely left his mark on television and on many people's lives.
Absolutely. Yep. I was gonna say, moving on, we got so you threw this in here, and so you mean to tell me that Steven Spielberg isn't about like making a permanent and forever always cash machine, that the only difference is if you'll get a lot of money or a little money.
Yeah, yeah, just basically, yeah. He made a mistake by altering ET by taking out the guns, and he realizes that that's
That's
even though
funny.
you're tempted to alter your movie to fit the times of today, that you're really kind of damaging your art by doing so. And yeah, both he and George Lucas are guilty of that. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I think they both realize that was a mistake to do. So yeah, I mean you have to know when you're done with a piece of art, that you have to step aside and just let it be. And the fact that yeah, the fact that they can alter it, like I know that they've Disney has either removed things from streaming,
Oh yeah.
or haven't put stuff on streaming because
Yep.
of their controversial, uh, or they'll put a little warning in front of the movie or show saying that it might trigger warning, you might not
Right.
like this, but that's what they're doing currently. But who knows? Maybe later on they decide that's not good enough, and that they go in and digitally alter something. Yeah, that's always the case. So again,
Right.
I always stress, if you love a movie, you love a series, if it's any way possible to get that on Blu-ray, DVD,
Do it.
or 4K, do it, because
Yeah.
who's to say that they'll not alter it in the future. Steven Spielberg realizes the evils of doing that now. But yeah, you you run the risk of your streaming your favorite movie, Fight Club, and instead of fights they're just slapping each other with flowers.
Yeah, I think that this quote here really centers in on what the sentiment is.
Mm-hmm.
For like when the fans aren't being attacked or the nerds aren't being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
But what he did was he robbed people who loved ET of their memories of ET, because when you think about it and you want to share that
Mm-hmm.
with your kids or your friends or your loved ones, you you remember how it was, and then you go to, like, imagine if you were clueless about like the version out there that you had to like look for, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
and buy it or whatever, and then you're like, wait a second, this isn't what I remember. This is dumb. Like that.
Yep.
That's the thing, and I think
Yeah.
that's what
Definitely.
good for him for shouting that out. And
Yeah.
speaking of anything else to add?
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to bring up, which is kind of interesting, or at least I found interesting, with AI and you know, digital, the CGI and various things getting better and better to the point where you could put in you could put in a young Carrie Fisher into the end of Rogue. That the what was the movie called? uh, Rogue
Rogue
One.
Squadron.
Yeah, Rogue One.
Rogue. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Rogue One.
Rogue One. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Rogue
Rogue One.
Squadron
You
was the
could.
one
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
gonna come up, but they
Right.
shit canned. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You could put her in there, and sure, there's a slight uncanny valley. It's a little bit off, but it's going to get better and better to the point where it's going to be pretty realistic. So you could pretty much do whatever you want with movies in the future. Whereas, like uh, Michael Douglas was thinking about selling his digital rights to his image before he dies. Um, One of the things that I found fascinating, your movie sucks. Adam was giving his review of 65, which is that dinosaur movie
Mm-hmm.
with
Yep, I
Adam
saw that.
Driver,
Yep.
and he he didn't like it, but he was talking about
Not
how
be
bad.
surprised.
Yeah, he was talking about how bad the girl actor was in it, and he brought up a really interesting point that I kind of agree with, and um, it made me kind of think of yeah, this would be a kind of a cool science fiction story, uh, but the how the ethics of having children in movies
Mm.
has always been kind of interesting because you have
Yeah.
child actors that that they tend to be messed up when they get older because that pressure, that the fan and all of that. He said that he kind of hopes of a day when there's no child actors anymore, that they're all CGI.
Mm.
Um, where in
Interesting.
that way you could have um, you don't have to worry about how the effects of filming certain scenes or whatnot will have an effect on that particular child or whatnot. And would that be how AI generation of things it kind of picks and chooses from known sources and whatnot.
Right.
Would children sign off? Would their parents sign off on their image and have their digital image of the
Yeah.
child be in the
That's
movie?
yeah. That's something that has always been even written into law, famously from
Mm-hmm.
parents just robbing their basically having a little mini piggy bank, and that's
Mm-hmm.
also been set forth too. Also recently is like Britney Spears' example under conservatorship, like where your
Mm-hmm.
parent has full control. Like that's a little bit extreme scenario, but
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, you hear more. I don't know how I fall on like having one or not, or having them do it or not, but I'd
Mm-hmm.
have to think about that a lot more. But I will say, unfortunately, whenever there has to do with a child actor, and years later when they grow up, unfortunately, you end up hearing more of the extreme type scenarios and situations that
Mm-hmm.
happen that are like either life ending or life altering, or somewhere in between, like where it's just a
Mm-hmm.
mess all across the
Yep.
board, like where they
Yep.
really didn't have a chance to grow up and
Yeah.
be a kid.
Yeah.
And there were people trying to take advantage of them left and right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting. It's very interesting. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
65 actually wasn't that bad. I think it was about around the same quality level of like Will Smith's sci-fi kind of. It was same. It was literally the same story.
Mm-hmm.
Crash lands and he's got his son, and but yeah, it was all right. Nothing to
Yeah.
write home about.
Yeah. He did a double feature of 65 and the new Shazam movie, and he
That's
said that
funny.
he said the good thing about 65 is that any movie you watch after 65 you'll appreciate 10 times better after watching 65. He said that he really enjoyed the new Shazam sequel, and is kind of surprised by everybody that's kind of dissing on it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'd say the 65 was like if you started on a level ground and then all of a sudden like it just you get got such a steep grade, you were just sliding down, being forced of the storyline, and everything is very much like that, but including some of the acting and the setup from that. But I was gonna say speaking of movies, anything else to add about this or subtract
No.
from this? I was gonna say I don't know if you caught this or not, but I did. I caught it on like Thursday night last week. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently I didn't know this was a thing. And I think I saw in my headlines, but apparently Return of the Jedi is in theaters now. So
Mm-hmm.
if you the original one, well, I think it's
Mm-hmm.
not the original one. I think it's the last George Lucas altered. Well, whatever, but
Right. Yeah.
take what you will from that or not. But
Mm-hmm.
regardless, if you so choose, it's running through, and I checked it. My local theater, it's playing.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen numbers, but I've heard that it's doing well enough. It's doing surprisingly well with
Mm-hmm.
no publication, no mention of it, which I'm really shocked. I'm really shocked that Disney
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars would not have heard. I should have heard about this from thing, but like nobody's talking about it. But
Right.
I mean, and, which is it's a shame. It's a freaking shame. So like, if you want to take your kiddos to see this movie and kind of experience it, you can.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there. But I don't know. I don't have a negative opinion about this. But like, I definitely caught some conversation from some of the folks that I like to follow in the nerd
Mm-hmm.
sphere on YouTube, and they were talking about how you're kind of like of two kinds of people here. Are you either you want it, you're gonna go see it, or you just don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's too strong of a word, but you're just like, maybe not. Like, I don't know. I kind of like if I kind of want to see it, but then again, like I kind of don't because when I get done with this and then I have to come back to like where we currently are in the way of things, I just don't have any excitement for that world. Like I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of like I don't know, indifference, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't say apathy, but I guess it's the same thing. But yeah, it's out there, and I just want that is a positive thing. So anyway, I know I'm kind of dogging on
I
it a
like
little bit, but
the new poster that they have for it.
that's very cool. That
Mm-hmm.
that is very cool. And I think I caught I might put it here in the thing, but I caught a 40th anniversary take like where there was a film camera and they were asking people like what they thought before they saw the movie like
Mm-hmm.
from 40 years ago and like that it was kind of cool to hear how excited they were of that and I kind of missed that a little bit like
Mm-hmm.
honestly but in any case moving on I think we're coming up to oh yeah more box office news. Have yet to see this with my kiddos. I really meant to see it this weekend, but
Mm-hmm.
they weren't feeling all that great, so ended up not going. But I hope I don't. Well, it's not going anywhere, at least for a little bit. I get some more time, but it crossed $1 billion at the box office, which is no big surprise. But it's been number one like 4 weeks in a row. So like you can definitely tell there's a pent up demand for this kind of media. This is Super
Mm-hmm.
Mario Brothers. So we'll see how it goes. But are you you're gonna wait until it comes on streaming, right?
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah, cool, cool.
Yeah. I was kind of I was when Mario and all that came out, NES. I was more of a PC gamer at that point. I was playing my Commodore 64 and
Oh, right on,
various
right on.
things. So I was above that kiddie Nintendo
Yeah,
stuff.
well, I was
So,
definitely right
yeah.
there with the NES and then
Hmm.
every other thing up
Hmm.
through the even the
Yeah.
Switch and far enough to see my kiddos get
Hmm.
enmeshed in the Switch. They're very smart, very smart.
Yeah, I was one of the original PC elitists, when it first, and then
PC Master Race
yeah, Master
represent.
Race, absolutely. So yeah, and I've kind of circled around and yeah, realized what BS that was early on. But yeah, yeah,
Oh, you
I
like what you
kind
like.
of, yeah, I kind of missed out on the whole NES and Super NES craze because yeah, I was a know-it-all teenager that felt like he didn't have to that he was above that gaming stuff,
Right on, right on.
unless it was PC.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, and then I wanted to kind of cover this. Now I have a question. I just kind of stumbled across it, but apparently there's this gaming website called Waypoint that Vice owned, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently they're no longer going to be doing anything after June, early June.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear about this website at all in the slightest?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I missed it, but apparently they were famous for saying something about doing political hot takes, I guess, on it. But they were a longer form kind of thing. But I I honestly say like I've never I definitely Kotaku and other ones, but anyway, it's just interesting. And I don't know, like seems like
Mm-hmm.
media properties are dropping like flies
Oh yeah.
lately, or they're cutting back significantly, like we were seeing. It's just that kind of economy, I guess.
Yep.
Um,
What with this economy?
right. But then I was gonna say launch that into the Invincible on Steam in video game news.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, it is that's my first recommendation of this week was Splattercat Gaming,
Oh.
which
There
I
was
follow.
a couple of news items I was going to cover, if but you could talk about the
Oh
Invincible
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I'll just cover this real quick. But
Uh-huh.
it's not out yet. But they did a review. They did it with content creators. They gave them a copy of the thing, and then there's like a little playthrough. I haven't watched all this. I've only watched a little bit of it.
Uh-huh.
But for the most part, let me get this thing ready. But anyway, I was going to say that also brought up a something I found out, which was if you are a content creator and you are big, you can do this Keymailer thing, and then they'll show you they'll give you a key if they deem you to be sufficiently big enough. But I just wanted to kind of cover that, and maybe if we get a key, we can do something with it, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just really excited to see this. And again, that's based off Stanislav Lem's book, Invincible. Uh oh. Thomas left. Uh-oh. I'll wait for him to come back up here, and then we'll do. I'm gonna load these in. He gave me some links here that we had. Uh-oh. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop recording. Oh, nope. Never mind. You
Uh,
know what? I was about ready to pull the plug and start over again, but you came
no,
back in just in the nick of time here.
yeah, yeah, a little technical difficulties, but yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
sent
but
you. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say I was just wrapping up the Invincible.
Hmm.
I'm really looking forward to this game, and by all accounts, it looks like it's gonna be really really cool. But we'll see. Maybe we'll do a
Yeah,
playthrough or something when it comes out. So we'll see.
yeah. I
Um,
kind of threw over those three articles I was gonna hit on. But yeah, these things happen. Came out last week, but it's after we recorded our
oh
grab
yeah,
bag
that's
for the
right.
week.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. Now
Uh,
you're jazzing my memory here. Which one do you want to cover? Go to first.
we could talk about Kevin Smith, but yeah,
Okay, cool, cool.
he kind of this article kind of tells you that he kind of went into self-admitted himself into some mental health treatment facility because he was going through some bad times. He kind of, I think in the article he said he was kind of feeling suicidal at one point, and he kind of had been burying some trauma from early in his life as a child. But the thing that kind of stood out to me was he was talking about how he kind of developed this persona of Kevin Smith, and he was and that persona is what you saw on camera and whenever he would do various podcasts and whatnot. He sort of was that whole persona. There's a lot of times when you're a performer, there's the on-screen persona, and then there's the off-screen persona where you're basically yourself. And he got to the point where that persona was him, and he no longer really knew who he truly was. He was kind of that gratifying the audience 24/7. That kind of shilling Kevin Smith person, and he was constantly trying to please the audience, to the point where I guess if there was negative reactions that would affect him emotionally, because it was attacking his personal self. And I think he's kind
Interesting.
of come to the understanding that uh, that he the being forever online is not good for you. That he's going to step away from Twitter and various social media outlets. That whenever you see him on, not that he'll never be online again, but when you see him, he'll be doing it in person as a podcast or talking to you, streaming, so that he's talking to you in person as opposed to living his life through social media. And he talked about how how toxic the whole social media aspect of things can be, and kind of feed into that false persona that you kind of build up around being online all the time.
Interesting. 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 Yeah,
And
he.
that answers
Yeah,
a lot of questions as to I really enjoyed him early on in his career, but
sure. Me
as
too.
time went on, he became a different person to me, and a person I didn't really like. He became kind of like a, a shill for various companies, and I think
Sure.
that's
Salesman.
and yeah, kind of a salesman. And what he was selling, I wasn't buying anymore. But yeah, it really kind of made me see him as a person again, and kind of really feel for him. And the fact that he was having those major mental health issues, definitely. And he also talked about he kind of got hooked on marijuana after his heart attack. He kind of fled from the hardships of his life through drugs, and he stopped taking he stopped smoking marijuana, and he realized that that was kind of a crutch for him as well, which any substance that you use to avoid the hardships of life,
Yep. Reality.
can be a temporarily could be a temporary fix, but over time it's not gonna benefit you, and it's gonna be a detriment.
No, you got to find balance some way or another. Otherwise, your
Hmm.
body will find balance. That's for damn sure. And and some people get that, some people don't. But God bless him for coming to terms with his own grief or whatever. I would agree with you. It kind of makes sense. And I'll be honest with you, after his heart attack, I think that was like kind of like the start of like kind of like where it was like more like it used to be Kevin Smith was like up there with like Quentin Tarantino and is a cultural icon kind of sort of thing, very influential. But
Hmm.
like I said, like I think your joke or my joke was like something like, yeah, maybe 10 years ago, like when he
Yeah.
came out with his from of course he did the He-Man for a paycheck on Netflix, and then he did Clerks 3, I think, and like
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nobody, it's not even on the radar. It's not that he,
Hmm.
it's not that he's even bad or good. It's that people don't care, and they didn't even show up. So
Yep.
like, but if you're out there, you're one of the weirdos like
Hmm.
us, where we all like our own unique niches. Good for you, but like
Yeah.
I'll just go out with Clerks 2 and just call it a day,
Hmm.
and like just
Yeah.
pretend that I stopped listening to him somewhere around 2015
Hmm. Yeah.
or
And
2014, like in it, like just pretend that like he's just been
mhm.
on vacation for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, no, me and Kevin are pretty much the same age, where there's a few months difference. So I've always kind of seen him as, I kind of looked to him while I grew up as, hey, this is sort of, if I got a big break, I kind of live vicariously through him, as far
Sure.
as being able to make movies and doing that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's it's definitely possible, and whatnot. He started. He didn't have a silver spoon in his mouth. He made his way the hard way. Him and,
Oh yeah.
like, say, Robert Rodriguez as well. Um,
Oh, that's true.
yeah.
Good
So
call.
yeah, there were always kind of icons to me, as far as what was possible, and like I said, I kind of lived vicariously through him. So whenever there was a kind of a disconnect between me and Kevin, that always it felt. it kind of hit me harder than other people that have kind of kind of changed
Come and
over the
gone.
years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good that he's getting in touch with who he is again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And then
Yeah,
moving on
absolutely.
to oh,
Yeah, just a quick thing. Grady Hendrix, who is a really good writer. I haven't read this particular book yet, but they're
yet.
making yeah yeah but yeah they're making a movie on it. And Scott Dyson, who we had an author on that a few weeks ago, he mentioned him with as a author he would recommend people read. So yeah, I thought I'd
Very
bring
cool.
that up. That yeah, that he's getting a movie. He does have there is an Amazon movie of one of his books. My best friend's exorcism.
Hmm.
I love that book. I saw some previews for the movie. It seems like they were kind of going for more of a CW type audience for the movie. So
Um,
I haven't actually watched the movie yet, and I've heard that that's more of the take of it, and
C-
people were kind
C-
of disappointed by it.
CW Riverdale.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
No, 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 no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say this: there, CW is like a dime back novel. You know exactly
Hmm.
what you're gonna get. It's very cookie cutter, and
Hmm.
it's in its use of gratuitous acting and just boy, they're a machine.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on.
Machine.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this. I saw a little bit of a coverage from I think a Tosi or like one of those
Hmm.
guys. But like I was like, what the hell happened here? Yeah, we kind of had a little back and forth there too on this. Yeah. So what did you think when you saw this?
Hmm. Yeah, so the Pinkertons are a real thing. If you played Red Dead Redemption 2, you know that the Pinkertons were after the outlaw crew that you were among in that game. Well, they've never gone away. They're still mercenaries to this day. And a YouTuber got his hands on some cards before Street Date. So Wizards of the Coast hired a mercenary group to bang on his door and request those those cards from him.
Boy,
I
that would not happen here. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just sounds very, very strange and bizarre.
Hmm.
And like this poor guy just got him by happenstance.
Right.
And I
Yep.
don't see what the big deal. They could have done this in such a better way. That would have
Hmm.
been more PR friendly. Be like, hey, how about this? How about you just hold up those cards and
Hmm.
wait? Like, please take the videos down.
Hmm.
And then we'll give you, like work cooperatively instead of sending the pink.
Yeah.
It's like it's like something from I don't know. It just sounds otherworldly.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
crazy. Yeah. Yeah. And this is just one of the very many bad decisions Wizards of the Coast has made. They've in my eyes they've kind of ruined Dungeons and Dragons. They've put so many goofy things in with the races and whatnot, and they've tried to put in monetization into Dungeons and Dragons because it doesn't make the money that the Magic the Gathering does, and
yeah,
it pissed off most of the Dungeons and Dragons crowd, and
yeah,
they've kind of had to walk back all of their things that they were going to do. But at this point, I've always had a bad taste in my mouth for Wizard of the Coast, but at this point, I've kind of swore off ever being involved with any of their properties at all. At one point, I kind of thought about because the for a while there, D&D was popular, and I kind of wanted to get together either in person or online with some friends and maybe try playing Dungeons and Dragons again. But there's no way, absolutely no way, that I would ever give them any money or promote them. So that's totally off the table at this point.
yeah. I don't really have any affinity or disaffinity for Wizards of the Coast, but I've definitely heard things, and it's been a 10 years, like where they just kind of stubbed their toe a little bit too much here or there. But like this thing, boy, if you come to my door and you try to be something you're not,
Mm-hmm.
that ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And this lucky that that this didn't end in a different way,
Right.
because
Absolutely.
like they famously say, for these security companies, like they can't do shit. They can't do
Mm-hmm.
shit unless they're like enforcing like a bail that was already agreed to by the person that they're after. So it kind of gives
Mm-hmm.
them like a limited set of things that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, like, you can stand on my driveway. Actually, you can stand on the street and you can wait
Mm-hmm.
there until I call the cops, and then your ass
Mm-hmm.
can get to kicking rocks.
Mm-hmm.
But they could have done this so much of a different way. And like, but you know what? I that's not true. I know what I would have done, but that like I definitely would have let somebody in my house. Like, you have full control of that situation, man. But
Mm-hmm.
that just sucks. Like, you're right. I think they could have handled this. Like I was saying, like they could have handled this in such a better, more positive way than rating. You get
Mm-hmm.
headlines like this. There's only one way somebody can read that, but it is what it is. That's really it's really shocking though, like how inept that is, in this day and
Mm-hmm.
age, for all the
Yeah.
things that go out there or happen in the real world. Like,
Mm-hmm.
good God,
Yeah.
this could have been so much worse.
Yeah, you send the Pinkertons after a YouTuber and you don't think it'll get out there? Yeah, come on.
Right, right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. That's funny. Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, I think that rolls us up to your picks.
Mm-hmm.
Unless we had more. I think those were the three that we
Yeah.
added. But you had this guy for your comic book you wanted to speak on,
Yeah,
the
it's a
omnibus.
omnibus hardcover. Yeah, if you have several extra dollars to plunk down on it, it's not
Sure.
a. although comic books are expensive these days, so if you it's not unreasonable. It's a collection. It's volume one of John Hickman's run on the Avengers.
Right.
This happened early in the 2010s, when the Avengers movie had come out during the height of that.
I
But
think I
yeah.
picked up a few of these comic books way,
Hmm.
way, way, way back around that time,
Hmm.
because that's when I started to get back into a little bit more
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah, and I was kind of out of comic books at that time. I wasn't really collecting. So yeah, this is all new to me. So yeah, if you're not familiar with it, I definitely recommend it. Jonathan Hickman, uh, late most recently it did a run on the X-Men that I wasn't too keen on, just because
Mm.
X-Men are more of a kind of personal team, whereas Jonathan Hickman kind of tells big, broader stories that are more epic, which kind of lends itself better to the Avengers. In this omnibus starts off with Tony Stark talking to Steve Rogers, Iron Man, and Captain America, telling Captain America that the core group as it is now are good for saving the Earth, but we're getting more and more into kind of universe type events, and that we kind of need a group that kind of reflects that. We need a lot more people to kind of deal with these situations that are coming up, which is kind of a twofold kind of thing for him, because Tony Stark also had started forming this thing called the Illuminati,
Mm-hmm.
which was a secret organization that was Tony Stark, Captain America. You got Stephen Strange, Charles Xavier, Reed Richards, um, in Black Panther and Namor. So the sort of a person from each of the different teams, and
Very cool.
and they're kind of a secret organization of superheroes that would make the hard decisions, that would make decisions that maybe their other members of their team would not agree upon. If it came down to the Earth being saved and letting another planet die, they were willing to make those hard decisions to save the Earth. And so there was kind of two big world events that were happening, that were threatening the Earth. One that the secret Illuminati superheroes were taking care of, and another global event or universal event that the the big Avengers team were doing, and during all of that, Thanos decides to to stir things up as well. So you have these three big events that were going on simultaneously, and by the end of this first volume, two of those are resolved, and the other one, it looks like it's going to be carried on into the second omnibus that comes out in a couple of weeks from now. So I'm looking forward to getting that. But yeah, it does tell pretty much a complete story that kind of ends two of the major threads. But one of them kind of left hanging for that second volume. But if you like really big, huge cross the universe adventure with a lot of science fiction and adventure and kind of crazy stuff going on, and Thanos, stirring things up. This is a definite recommend.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, and the thing I was going to mention to this too, which is one caveat to these comic book stuff. Like when you do, yes, it's a little worth more than a few shekels, so it maybe might pause your hand before you hit that buy button. But I will say this: omnibuses are already known good stories. You're going to get some kind of good enjoyment out of this for sure. That's what I would say, because they're not making this stuff over like oh god, I forgot to put it in the thing, but I might save it for next week's grab bag. But there was a for about a 10-year run of this character that wasn't really a superhero called Dick Cole, Cole, and there's a lot of innuendo, and then there's kind of some things why that, but like there's no such thing as a omnibus or compendium on on that particular way back in the day, but that's cool. Like that now it makes me want to man, it gives me the itch to like go check it out and see what's up.
Yeah, and I also say this since it's an omnibus, it's over 1,000 pages in it. I know this volume, I think it has 40 odd issues. All of the omnibuses are between 40 and 50 issues normally. And if you think about it, current issues of comic books cost at least $4. So if you're getting 40 or 50 of them in a single volume, that's going to be roughly about the same, or you're saving some. Also, Amazon does some sales. I think I got that retails for 125. I think Amazon's currently selling it for 90. So you get a definite discount off of that. And then there's also a website called cheapgraphicnovels.com, and that has even deeper discounts from Amazon a lot of times, between 40 and 60% off of these.
Really?
So you can sometimes you could get an omnibus for $60 or $75. So yeah, definitely check them out. They do have shipping and handling, so that adds another maybe $8 or $10 to the thing. But they package it really well. Amazon, you never know if they're going to throw it around in the warehouse and ding it up. With the cheap graphics novel, cheapgraphicnovels.com, they take care of it. If there is any damage to it, they'll say it in the listing for it. It does take a little bit longer for them to package it up and ship it out. So you're talking about a few weeks and also if it says special delivery item, that means it will take a little bit longer than their normal shipping.
Sure.
So yeah,
it's worth waiting for though.
Absolutely, for the discount, definitely. And then a lot of times you'll forget about it. It'll come into the mail, so it'd be like a nice surprise whenever it comes in.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to hit the refresh here and then move over to your YouTube recommendation for this week.
Yep. Do you remember Chris Hansen and To Catch a Predator?
I do. It was. I remember it one when it was actually on like network TV each week, and then again when it had a short YouTube renaissance not too long back, in the last 10 years, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. It's the community for To Catch a Predator has been. The acronym is TCAP now, but yeah,
interesting.
Yeah, and that's inspired a lot of kind of online vigilantes to go out and
Yes.
to cause some issues, possibly to try to catch predators on their own, to lesser and greater effects. But yeah, um, Chris Hansen's made a comeback online with this True Blue. He did make a splash
Interesting.
a few years ago um, with covering an online unsavory person, I'll say, because he hasn't been convicted of anything. But yeah, he was going after this guy that was maybe talking to some younger folks they probably shouldn't have been,
Mm.
and Chris Hansen kind of managed it very badly. The his alleged victims, he kind of made promises to them that he didn't come through on. He ended up selling the story, I think, to Discovery Channel, and they did
Interesting.
a documentary on it. Um, despite despite what he had promised the victims, what he was going to, that he had told them that he would not sell it to them without their permission, and he did it without their permission. So he's kind of burned his good faith online. So he's kind of come across as more of a not as good a person as he once was looked upon, but
Not as sterling
um,
silver as he
yeah,
once was.
absolutely, absolutely. But what he's good at is doing a catch a predator type show,
Right.
and True Blue is the new home for his Catch a Predator series. The newest episode just uploaded today. I watched it today. These are guilty pleasures. I enjoy
Sure.
watching these. There's several of them on here. It's a whole channel. I think there's a website for True Blue where I think you could pay $5 for total access for things.
Interesting.
I haven't checked that out yet. So there's some stuff that I wasn't really interested in on this channel as far as interviews with I don't know who, but if you scroll down you'll
Right.
see some other other episodes that he did. There's one one there that is totally disgusting. The 10-year-old guy, or the one that came for the if you scroll up a little bit, I think it was that that older guy with the glasses, that
Oh
70-year-old for the 13-year-old.
Murder.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it
he's just
was.
gonna I would kill him.
Yeah, yeah. He was talking to a supposed dad about, and the dad was brokering his 13-year-old daughter, and yeah, obviously they're all cops and whatnot, but yeah.
Still.
So yeah, just Chris Hansen talking to the guy was just yeah, just totally creepy, but yeah, there's some interesting episodes on here, and yeah, if you were ever interested, if you ever enjoyed that show, this is you can get your fix again through this channel.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, and with that, we can ping over to mine, which kind of mirrors that we kind of landed on crime genre
Yeah.
type, but YouTube channels this week. Not by
Hmm.
absolutely by design for sure, and our we just covered Goodfellas there, but like, well, like I was saying in our main event, not too long ago, I was saying that like back a few years ago, they had the Sopranos movie that famously came out. It was kind of mixed reviews. I enjoyed it, but in any
Hmm.
case, on the drum up to that, I kind of fell into a YouTube mafia kind of circle for a little
Hmm.
bit for the algorithm, and that, like some of this stuff will go a little bit goes a long ways, like unless you are like a big fan, like which this guy has,
Hmm.
but he's famously was part of the mafia, and his dad was a made man, and he was a made man, and he kind of found his way out, but kind of like he is kind of the modern day our generation's version of Henry Hill,
Hmm.
who was famous for based on his true events, some for the most part true events in his life that
Hmm.
inspired Goodfellas, and inspired the book by Nicholas Pileggi,
Hmm.
in Wise Guy. Anyway, so this this is just like a one I kind of I like. It's a guilty pleasure too, kind of sort of thing. Like where if
Mm-hmm.
something kind of mob related comes out, like I think in the last couple of years, like one of the main mafia guys in New York was like shot and killed
Mm-hmm.
famously. A very unexpected thing, and the guy was like in his 80s or 90s. He was pretty old.
Yeah.
But he got bumped off, and
Yep.
like when that
Whitey
happens, there's kind of like
Whitey
a
Bulger,
resurgence.
right?
Yeah, well, that actually
Yeah.
happened quite a while ago, but
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
was thinking of another one, like a
Uh-huh.
New York family one, but
Gotcha.
and these guys still exist. And I was gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
I might include it here on the description, but here in St. Louis, actually in the suburbs that I used to live in a couple years ago, with or not even a year ago, but in any case, that area in the 70s and 80s, like St. Louis was kind of like a hub and spoke from
Mm-hmm.
Chicago. Like so it's just kind of crazy. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's even a car bomb, like but some of these
Mm-hmm.
mafia guys actually lived and worked out of South County in St.
Yeah.
Louis. Like this just blows my mind. It just
Yeah.
kind of goes back to the thing,
Yeah.
era. But anyway,
Yeah.
I thought this guy
Yeah, I
is
don't
really
think. Yeah, I don't think there was any Arkansas gangsters, but there might. I'm sure there's up in the Ozarks. There might have been some moonshine hillbillies that were
oh yeah. I'm sure they had
had
their
some
own
clans
little.
going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they had something going on, but there's always
Yeah.
crime afoot wherever you.
Yeah.
But in Milwaukee, famously up in Wisconsin too, like that's an
Wisconsin.
outlet. Oh yeah, yeah, guilty, guilty, guilty. But yeah, yeah, that's kind of like a really cool kind of toss that way
Yep.
and like see if you like it,
Yep.
But
Yep. Yeah. And like
I
I
was
said,
gonna say,
yeah. That's why I have wise guys on my my tag down here. We did talk about Goodfellas on our main event this week, which is
there we go, shows up.
premiering right now. You could tell we recorded this on Monday, as the videos premiering. But yeah, so yeah, if you're in a gangster mood after watching some of those videos that Mike recommended on that channel, you could watch our Goodfellas video there. And whenever I watch Goodfellas or watch Sopranos, I get in that gangster mood, and I'll fire up Grand Theft Auto, one of those titles
That's
like
funny.
4 or 5, and play that. Get some gangster action going. Like a few weeks ago when we did our spaghetti western one,
Right.
the good, the bad, the ugly. I threw on some Red Dead Redemption 2 and played a little bit of that to
Oh, that's always fun.
get my pew pew going.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, well, this inevitably will will cause me to like want to go see a heist movie, and I got kind of few that like to work through rotation and watch once in a while.
Hmm.
Heat was one of them. I'd definitely probably be watching that again soon.
Yep. And
And
with Heat, there's some news about Heat. Michael
oh yeah,
Mann,
Heat too.
the director and writer of it, wrote a novel for the sequel, and now it looks like they're going to make it into a movie as well.
Yeah, that's right. I'm trying to find that real quick here on the fly where I can just oh,
Hmm.
there it goes. Oh, it was on deadline. Here we go. Let me do this, and I'll throw that in the mix here while we do the thing. Uh, yeah.
Yep.
Very cool. Yep, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I have no doubt that they'll do really great with that if they do it right. So
Yeah.
hope springs eternal. But I that brings us up to the end of the show, and I was gonna
Hmm.
say like I said, go check out our back catalog. Give us a like, subscribe, even better, or share a video. Like that would be great too. We love doing this thing, and we hope to keep bringing these to you. I still hold that the Tenebrae one is gonna hit. I'm just convinced that it's gonna hit in our top 10 most
Hmm.
popular of all time. So we'll see as that goes. Maybe I'm
Hmm.
wrong, but I don't think
It
it's
did,
too far away.
yeah, yeah, it did surprisingly well. It's definitely up there. It's one of our biggest running ones. It's looks like it surpassed Joe Lansdale, which is kind of surprising,
Yeah, that is
uh,
funny. That is funny.
but yeah. So no slight to Joe, but yeah, it's great. Yeah, we'll hopefully do some more Dario Argento movies in the future.
Absolutely, yeah. And with that, I've been Mike.
And I'm Thomas. Go get you a comic book Saturday.
Yeah.
See ya.